everybody. Once again, this is Fred Wonko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on LNTV. And as usual, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. Folks, I am very happy to be here today. This is the first time I'm recording in exactly a week. And believe it or not, the day after my last recording that I shared with you, I found myself in the emergency room of a hospital. I drove myself there. My body wasn't feeling right. I called my doctor, told him what was going on. He said, go to the emergency room. I got to the emergency room, ended up taking a bed in the emergency room and staying there for about 7 hours, and then the doctors deciding they'll keep me for observation. And I ended up staying 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I didn't come home till Tuesday. Why am I sharing this with you? Because you are my audience, because you are my viewers, and because my job is to bring you critical information that is good for me and good for you. What's good for me is my health. What's good for you, which turns into being good for me, is your own health. And we are not doctors. I'm not a doctor. But the least we could do is listen to our body, listen to our bodies. I listened to mine. What happened to me may not have done anything critical to me the day I reacted and called my doctor. But if I stayed without reacting to it for a week, who knows what story could be told today. America is the greatest country to be in when it comes to medicine. Why don't we take advantage of it? All you need to do is listen to your body, call the doctor, they'll tell you what to do. So I'm here, I'm fine, I'm great, but I want you to be fine and great, but it starts with listening to your body. With that said, let's get into what we're here for today. Over the last 12 months, I have been very critical about what's going on in Nigeria. And I have been very critical of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and many of the people that surround him and work with him. And during that time, I've had people who are very close to me, very close loved ones, both in the United States and in Nigeria, who call to tell me that they are concerned about what I'm saying, not because they don't think what I'm saying is the truth, but because they don't think the way I'm saying it fits into the country we're talking about. In the sense, that's their way of saying that Nigeria is a very dangerous place. When I said those things, and I still believe in those things that I said, like many Nigerians do, including the ones who call to caution me. When we say those things, it's because we love our country. I just think the time has come when I have to love our country exactly the way you two love our country, which almost borders on see no evil, say no evil, because you want to live. And I've come to the realization that I too want to live. I've come to the realization that at this point in time, Nigeria is not worth dying for. By that I mean that there's not a single thing I've said critical of Bola Ahmed Tinubu or anybody else that was not true. But we live in a country where people are not allowed to say the truth. It bothers me that I can't go home, not because they're looking for me, but because of the things I say and the way they rule I don't trust that I can go there and they'll respect my privacy to say what I want to say, especially if I'm right. On that note, I'm saying I'm done with the personal criticisms when it comes to critically addressing issues that concern our country. I am stepping away from that realm of my work, which is the way we do it in America, and still go about our business. I am still going to be involved in discussion of political and social and economic things going on in Nigeria, especially to the point where they are not being done right. But I'll no longer be personal in my discussion. If there are any bridges I may have burned in trying to do my job and do it right, because it's the way Nigerians choose to do things, is say nothing, I want to say I'm not taking back what I said because they are true, but I'm backing off continuing on that line. With that said, it's critically important that I doff my hat to the soldiers with boots on ground that are doing what all of us should be doing. And some of them saying more than I'm saying, but maybe not as personally as I've been saying it. I want to doff my hat to Dele Farotimi. I want to doff my hat to Dele Momodu. I want to doff my hat to Rufai Oseni. I want to doff my hat to Sheun at Channels TV, Maokbe Ogun, Yemi Adamolekun, Pade Banjo, Bode George, Olusegun Obasanjo, and many like them. Oh, how can I forget Aisha Yesufu? And many like them, including Igbos who are doing the same thing, Fulanis and Hausas who worked with the obedient movement and did excellent jobs. I don't remember everybody's names, but I know their faces. I just want to say thank you for the work you're doing. And I'll spend the next few weeks learning how to toe the line on the line you guys say it without putting your lives at risk. With that said, my show today is about opportunities that exist in Africa and in Nigeria that us Nigerians and Africans are running away from because of the way we see the bad leadership and the lack of direction that the country and continent may be showing today. But when you see this next video, you see that Americans and people from the Economic Union and China and all those places are actually taking advantage of the bad situation we have today in Africa. And I'm bringing you this so that you too can think, not literally. Some of the things you hear in the video may be a little exaggerated, but I want you to listen to that video between the lines and learn from it and see how we can take advantage and take what we have here, knowing that the Naira is depressed against the dollar, and go in there and build opportunities that we benefit from, but also benefits the people, because we're going to be able to create jobs to hire people who otherwise don't have jobs. I want you to listen to this next one, then I'll play the one that follows it.
The average Westerner can retire at 50 if they purchase a property in West Africa. I'm not talking about a meager retirement either. I'm talking about a luxurious standard of living that includes golf, sailing, polo, and fine dining every night. For the record, I don't think this is something that is necessarily fair, and I understand why some West Africans are upset about this. But the way the exchange rates and cost of living are right now, there's an opportunity for Westerners to engage in a once-in-a-lifetime arbitrage. And here's the thing, despite some protests from native Africans who feel this is driving up their cost of living, the West African governments are actually encouraging this. So let's jump right into the numbers. Money goes much farther in West Africa. So if you have a pension or social security income of $2,000 a month, by living in West Africa, it will be like living on $10,000 a month. If you take an annual draw from your retirement annuities for $20,000, it'll be like getting $100,000 in West Africa. Sell your paid off house in America and relocate those funds to West Africa, and you'll never have to worry about money for the rest of your life. Have you ever seen those expensive clothing companies that take a normal t-shirt and slap a logo on it and charge 10 times as much? That's what it's like spending your money in the West. Except oftentimes in the Western world, you're getting a worse experience but paying way more for it. In Ghana, we are selling our entry-level single-family houses for $125,000. These are smart homes with every amenity you can imagine, built to the highest international standards, and made from concrete, not plywood. Comparable houses in America sell for over $500,000, but to be frank, American houses can't compete at any level with what we build. But what about living day to day in West Africa? Food is about a fifth as expensive, so for the price of Taco Bell in the West, you get African fine dining. The highest rated golf courses that would be $100 a round in the West can be as low as $13 a round. A full-time housekeeper or cook is less than $500 a month instead of the $60,000 a year you would pay in the Western world. When considering West Africa, some people have concerns about healthcare, but if you go to a hospital or retirement home in America, there is a good chance that the medical professional you're dealing with will be from West Africa anyway. The reality is West African capital cities are rich, often having Western-trained medical professionals that cater to Westerners, so there's really nothing to worry about, and you won't be surprised with a six-figure bill from an American hospital that's owned by a Wall Street private equity firm. And remember I said that West African countries are encouraging Westerners to move to Africa? Ghana has a golden visa program where Westerners are fast-tracked to dual citizenship. Before I tell you how much this costs, let me put this in perspective. A golden visa to the European Union will cost around $800,000. If you want to save some money and go to Turkey, it'll be $400,000. The Caribbean countries also have golden visas, but they're $150,000. Ghana is less than $1,000. I've run these numbers for many of my clients, and while everyone's situation is different, we have found most of our Western clients have the financial capital necessary to retire in West Africa by age 50. These aren't multimillionaires. These are working professionals who are willing to take a 10-hour direct flight and learn they can escape the rat race of the Western world. I have no idea how long the exchange rate will favor Westerners. I don't know how long we'll be able to have new construction available for $125,000, but none of us are getting any younger, and you owe it to yourself to consider West Africa. But I want to know what you guys think. Is it a good thing that Africa is encouraging Westerners to move to their countries? Is this driving up the cost of living for native Africans too much? Or will the infusion of Western money end up benefiting the regular African? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if this video provided value to you, give me a like and a follow. That really helps out my channel. And I'll see you guys on the next video, or maybe we'll be drinking cocktails at the Polo Club in Accra together. The first round will be on me. Take care.
Now let's listen to the next video you're going to hear. It's similar to the first one, but actually sounds imperialistic and colonialistic. However, it's not. Listen to the message carefully. Don't take what he's saying verbatim, but listen to what he's saying about the African leaders and the burden that lack of good leadership in Africa puts on them, which is on America, on the European Union, on China and all that, in terms of Africans jackbuying, Nigerians jackbuying, and in the process of jackbuying, putting a lot of pressure on their own economies, and how what he's proposing may sound mean, but ultimately may be good for Africa. I don't know how it could be good for somebody else to come and impose their ways on you, but don't blame them. Blame our leaders.
All this talk of illegal migration in Europe, in the United States, it ultimately comes down to a contest of what is governance. Who is governed? Which countries are governed well? And if so many of these countries around the world are incapable of governing themselves, then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is it.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of actually making their country better.
People on the left are going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Eric Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely. Yes. Enough. Because if you go to these countries and you see how they suffer under absolutely corrupt, made-up governments that are just criminal syndicates, the people of Africa, the people of Latin America, a lot of them deserve better. Now, some countries are really getting it together, but the countries that cannot fix themselves, particularly in Africa, the worst, it's time to think about other governance options because they are clearly not capable of self-governance.
Or bringing the professionalism they need to capitalize on their own natural resources.
And the most of all, stop lending, stop the aid programs, which really only benefit the elites in those countries to the detriment of the little guys.
Or now, depending on how you listen to things and assimilate things, I read between the lines in what the guy was saying. What he said sounds exploitative. And I'm sure he has exploitative ideas too. However, there's not much of what he was saying that is not what you and I are saying about our leaders. The only thing that irritates anybody who is irritated at that is, why should a white man be saying it and coming in? Why can't we do it for ourselves? And my answer is, because we are not doing it for ourselves. When the white man starts whispering these things publicly, only God knows how much he's saying privately and preparing to actualize it. So you can be crying all you want about imperialism of the past and colonialism of the past. They are now in their boardrooms planning the new imperialism and the new colonialism of Africa. The only way you're going to stop it is that you have to straighten out your own house. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Onye ọma zoro obi o, akwa nwa zoro obi o, Maxi ịbịa bunyegokwanụ m n'ofu ube n'azụ ụlaga n'ịbịazugo, mmanwụ ụlaga do n'ịbịazugo, akwa nwa nwe ilochi o, biko rapụzoro ka ọ nabazi ya. Onye ọma zoro ne, abamma zoro ne sari, ịbịa nwunye nukwana m ofu ube n'arụ ụlaga no n'ịbịazugo na zaboy, mma ụlaga do n'ịbịazugo, abamma ilochilo biko rapụzoro anabazi amakwa m n'ike agwụgọ gị weligwe kwelu ike ji ọbọbịa lebe gị egwu ka mbụ na-ekene ọmọgọ ndị nsọ Chukwu emeka lụmụ ike Chukwu na-egaji esi nwanne m ekene dị ịlapụ ife niile na-eme wee bịa nke gosili na anyị na gị bụ nwanne Wisdom ga-adị ka nye gị maịkị ka ogobanya bụ egwu isili mmaksi ọ bụ na-etiri egwu a malụkwa malụ n'imego m ife ọjọọ wee sị gị nwanne m ife ọbụ na ịchọlụ na ngeme Wisdom onume ekene gị gbamanwe iyo biko lapụ nabasị ya zoro 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 Joy na bugwa Hausa Sokoto Ojembe nwilo anụ solo nwe ma n'ọfịa n'ara onye nwụrụ zuru ike